Hey, friend Sean from Draft Therapy here, and on today's review for you, it is the Shadow of Love. Coconut Love Shadow is a 12.1% bourbon barrel-aged Imperial Stout from Brewery Vivant in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Love Shadow has been a mainstay seasonal stout from Brewery Vivant for a few years now, but this year the Grand Rapids Brewery has introduced a coconut variety. Now, as you probably already figured out by now, that's the one I have here today, and I'm going to share it with you. And without further ado, I'm going to take a look at the label and I'm going to get it into a glass. Fun fact, there are over 1,300 types of coconut, which can all be tracked back to one or two genetic origins from either the Pacific or Indian Ocean, being super specific. Because, you know, one or two sounds good enough to me. All right, so Love Shadow. It's kind of a thing. People love it. This is Coconut Love Shadow. And taking a look at the label here, I don't know how they're too different. I know that obviously the guy on the front here is not splitting. I think he's actually hammering. He's like a blacksmith. But on this one, we'll start from the top. It says this is a Brewer's Barrel Reserve. It is from Brewery Vivant, has the chicken on the top, the red chicken with the yellow background. It says Coconut Love Shadow and has the Love Shadow behind the smith here cracking his coconut and dripping the insides all down the front. And it says Bourbon Barrel Aged Imperial Stout brewed with toasted coconut. This is a 12.1% alcohol by volume brew. And this is a big daddy. It's been probably the biggest one that I've had for quite a while on the channel. I can't remember what the last really big stout was besides Dragon's Milk, but that was 11%. This is 12.1%. So it says on the back here, barrel-aged stout with toasted coconut. You may have heard of an Imperial Stout called Love Shadow. It's a great beer in its own right. For this version, we've taken that decadent ale and added hundreds of pounds of toasted coconut. All the coconut was toasted in ovens at our pub by our head chef. Yet another perk of having a brewery attached to a great kitchen. This coconut version of Love Shadow is powerful, luxurious, and mischievous, filled with flavors of cocoa, vanillin, and of course, coconut. And then it says the glassware. That's what I love about Brewery Vivant's beers. They always tell you what kind of glass you should use. I'm not using the right kind of glass, unfortunately, but it says glassware and pairing. German chocolate cake is a perfect complement to this ale. Serve it in a small tulip to enhance the flavors, the beer, not the cake. I mean, it's your choice. Put both in a tulip if you prefer. Another great pairing would be pancakes, and it says a Michigan-made beer brewed and canned by Brewery Vivant, 925 Cherry Street, Suite 1 and 2, Grand Rapids, Michigan at breweryvivant.com. More information. And, of course, has the brewer's independent craft beer logo, has 1% of sales benefit local charities, which is an awesome thing. So I have a regular tulip, a large size, not a small one. Sorry. So we're going to go ahead and actually, is there a date on this? There is. Packaged on July 8th, 2019. A lovely bunch. Today is August 4th. So I am about, just about a month over the can date. This is a really big stout, a really big Imperial Stout. Of course, that means that you can let these age a little bit more. 1 month isn't gonna hurt anything. So let's go ahead and crack this open and put a nose on the can. It's always a satisfying crack when you open a new beer, isn't it? Wow, I am getting a lot of coconut. Has a lot of sweets, aromas coming out of it. Maybe I'm getting a little bit of chocolate. I'm getting a lot of coconut, though. I want to pour this, though, and get a better smell out of the glass. Let's go ahead and pour this. It's coming out very dark out of the glass. As you can see, I hear a lot of carbonation, a lot of hiss, but I'm not getting a lot of head for as much hiss as I'm hearing. It almost sounds like, I don't know if you can hear that. Hopefully you can. It sounds like pouring a Coca-Cola. I mean, it's really kind of a lot of a hiss, like a carbonation kind of hiss. And let's hold it up to the light. That is dark as night. I talk about the bulb here on the bottom. I'm getting a slight color variation through the bottom of a maybe a little bit light brown. It's not actually as dark as I would have expected. And I can see across the top here, you kind of look at it you can see a real subtle light banding around the top of the glass. That's like the alcohol sitting on there, and then as it goes down, it just fades into total darkness. But that is like pitch black if you're looking at the huge, mass here. But if you're looking across the bottom, it is a light kind of tannish brown. Nose is a lot more toast, like a coconut smell, aroma in there. I feel like I'm smelling a little bit of chocolate, but I'm also smelling a whole lot of bourbon in there. So, yeah, ready to dive right in. Cheers, guys. See what we think. This is a Big Daddy. It is a lot of coconut in there, but also I'm getting a really strong kind of bourbon taste in there. And as I kind of swallow it, there's a little bit of a bourbon burn to it. I'm getting that little bit of there's like a bourbon bite that kind of hangs out for me personally. Like when I take a drink of something like bourbon or something stronger alcohol wise, in the back of my throat, I get this kind of scratchy feeling, and that's what I'm getting out of this. So there's not much. There might be a tiny bit of a bourbon burn, but I'm getting that kind of flavor in there as well. So I'm getting a lot of bourbon out of this. Getting a lot of bourbon, but also mixed in with that sweetness, that bourbon sweetness. I'm also getting a whole lot of coconut. Now, it's not, when I talk about coconut, there's like, for me, there's kind of different grades or variations of a lot of coconut. So you can get something that has a lot of coconut. To me, that kind of relates. I relate it, and you've probably heard me say it before, but kind of like a suntan lotion, really strong coconut flavor in there. Or you can get the coconut that is, there's a lot of coconut flavor, but it's not like super aggressive in your face coconut. And this is the latter, where it's not super aggressive, but there is a lot of coconut flavor in there. So let's take a step back. Let's talk about the mouthfeel. The mouthfeel is on the lighter, kind of on the thinner stout side. It's not very thick. It's kind of like under medium. Like I consider like a traditional kind of stout to be like a medium mouthfeel, not too syrupy generally, not too heavy. This one is underneath medium, so it's almost borderline thin. It goes down really smoothly, which makes it very immensely dangerous. And the bourbon's in there, but it's not a I'm not a big bourbon drinker, so if I were to drink just straight bourbon, it's not, I don't feel like I could swig bourbon. It's just not something for me personally that I find really kind of an enjoyable experience. But this one has the bourbon flavor. It's a thinner mouthfeel, but I feel like I could kind of slug this one down, pretty quickly if given the right circumstances. So while there is a lot of bourbon in there, it has that kind of bourbon bite to it, that alcohol kind of bite, alcohol kind of sting in there, and it leaves that kind of scratchy feeling for me in my throat. Subsequent drinks have not done that, so that first one was kind of really strong in there, but I'm kind of getting acclimated to it. It's got a sweetness to it. It's got a little bit of like a chocolatey quality to it. It's got a lot of bourbon flavor in it as well, and it's got that coconut in there in spades. But it's not overpowering. It's not something where I don't want to drink it because it's just too strong coconut, or it's just kind of that suntan lotion kind of coconut. It's not that at all. I think it's a really kind of pleasurable coconut flavor. And I'm not the biggest coconut fan. I don't hate coconut, but if it's too much for me, it's too much, in my opinion. But this doesn't have it. It's a 12.1% Imperial Stout, bourbon barrel aged Imperial Stout. You can tell that it's in there, but it's not like it's not prohibiting me from wanting to continue to drink it really, like take nice big hearty swallows. It entices me to drink more because the alcohol is in there and you can taste it, but it's not like a deterrent. It's not something where it just makes me want to just drink it really slow for whatever reason. It just has a really enjoyable flavor. It has that little bit of like a chocolatey, milky, chocolatey kind of flavor in there, and it's got the coconut. I don't know how many more times I can ramble on about it, but it's a really good beer. If you don't like coconut and you don't like bourbon, steer clear. Like, this is not a beer for you. But if you like bourbon, if you're a bourbon fan and you can take coconut and in a nice, really complimentary way with the bourbon, then this is totally the beer for you. If you don't like coconut, if you don't like bourbon, I would steer clear. If you're on the fence, if you're kind of a coconut liker but not a coconut lover, and you're afraid it's going to be too suntan lotiony, too much like stingy kind of coconut and just kind of artificial coconut flavor, this is like the real deal coconut flavor. This isn't artificial coconut. So If you like coconut, or if you're kind of like on the fence about coconut, this is one to try. If you like coconut, definitely try this. If you like bourbon, this is next to triple mash. For me, for Dragon's Milk Triple Mash, I would say this is the closest to a bourbon lover's beer. I think this one fits right in there. They have a really similar mouthfeel, but I don't know. This one almost kind of, for me, almost kind of edges out Triple Mash because I like the coconut in there as well. It's a real complementary flavor to all the bourbon and all the kind of chocolate that you're getting through it. And yeah, again, Brewery Vivant just kind of knocks it out of the park. And I would really like to try Love Shadow now just to see how the two are different. All right, friends, that has been Coconut Love Shadow from Brewery Vivant in Grand Rapids. Let me know if you'd like to see a side-by-side with the regular Love Shadow, because I think that could be a really fun video to put together, trying those two side by side. So have you had the regular Love Shadow, or have you had this coconut one? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you like Michigan beer, you might want to subscribe and click that bell, because I'm here talking about it, talking about Michigan beer on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's always free, and it's always for viewers just like you. And you might miss your next newest favorite if you're not subscribed and getting those notifications. Also, again, I want to start incorporating your questions into these episodes, so leave any questions via text, voicemail, whatever, on the Draft Therapy hotline at 224-DRAFT-20. You can also chat with a bunch of like-minded beer individuals like yourself on the Discord server I've linked below. And, stop in, have a chat with us. We're always talking about different stuff. Beer, sometimes Michigan, sometimes not. Usually just whatever comes to mind. I think you'll have fun there regardless of what you want to talk about. So until next time, I'm Sean from Draft Therapy. Thanks for stopping by, and remember, drink craft beer, support your local breweries wherever they are, and most importantly, don't forget to treat yourself to a little draft therapy. Thanks for watching. Cheers.